Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Architecture Explained. Today I'll be exploring an icon of Catalan modernism, the Sagrada Familia. While the building is a church, or a basilica, I truly believe that it represents so much more than just the form. In this video, I'll be exploring the turbulent history, innovative architectural ideas, and the man behind this whole thing, the brilliant Antoni Gaudi. But without further ado, let's get into the video. The Sagrada Familia is known by many names, not least of which is the world's longest-lasting construction project. The building of this mammoth structure has lasted for around 150 years now. It started in 1882, was temporarily halted in 1926 for a prolonged period of time, the first due to Gaudi's death and then the Spanish Civil War, and then again for World War II. By this point, just 25% of the cathedral had been completed. After numerous delays and budget overruns, the project is finally scheduled to complete in 2026, on the centennial of Gaudi's death. In fact, the construction has lasted for so long that 9 different architects have led it. Now, this wouldn't have caused any turbulence since Gaudi had already spent several years designing intricate models and drawings of how the completed church would look. Unfortunately, many of these models were burned when Gaudi's workshop was broken into by a group of rebels in the Spanish Civil War. This meant that many of the design elements had to be reconstructed in plaster, which was headed by an aging Domènec Sugrañes, one of Gaudi's apprentices. This resulted in some parts of the building, like the Passion facade, being less detailed than originally intended. When it comes to architecture of the Sagrada Familia, there are many things to note. Overall, the basilica is a representation of Catalan modernism style at its best, a style that Gaudi helped to pioneer. The style can also be seen in many of Gaudi's homes, like the Casa Mila, the Casa Batlló, and the Casa Vicens. Architecturally, one of the most well-known aspects of the structure is how unusual it is for a church. The building itself has very few straight lines and no right angles. Gaudi's explanation for this was that there were no right angles in nature, so there was no need for buildings to have them either. Speaking of nature, this is one of the defining parts of the building and Gaudi's architectural style as a whole. The entire building is inspired by nature, and this can be seen externally from the spires and towers that are shaped like tree trunks. But this also continues into the building, where the columns are based on natural forms and the tops of columns include intricate stonework shaped like leaves. All of this means that standing inside the building and looking up makes you feel like you're in a stone forest. The sheer scale of the building is also impressive. When completed, there will be 18 spires in the Sagrada Familia. These spires represent the 12 apostles, the 4 evangelists, the Virgin Mary, and Christ. The central spire dedicated to Christ will be almost 180 meters tall, making it the tallest religious building in the world. Despite its ridiculous size, none of the walls of the cathedral are load-bearing, an invention that Gaudi pioneered and would later be seen on the works of modernist architects like Le Corbusier, Frank Lloyd Wright, and Mies van der Rohe. You can see an example of this on my channel with Le Corbusier's Villa Savoy. As a result of the lack of load-bearing walls, the columns inside the building only need to support the spires. The walls just hang on to the sides like curtains, a concept later seen in the now common glass curtain wall buildings. To do this, Gaudi added as much stained glass as he could, a weight-saving innovation that was decades ahead of his time. All in all, the Sagrada Familia is so much more than just a church. It's an innovative structure that was designed by a mind so brilliant that he was decades ahead of his time, and on a scale that makes everything else in the city pale in comparison. Not only is this Sagrada Familia an icon of the city, and it will be for many more years to come, it's also a perfect representation of God's architecture. Thanks for listening.